Energy tech doesn't move forward alone, and neither should you. Energy Tech Cypher brings together the founders, investors, operators, and corporates shaping what's next. From innovation trends to data-driven insights, this is where the ecosystem connects, collaborates, and moves. Find your place in the ecosystem at energytechcypher.com. That's Cypher as in CYPHER, where we bring the community together online and in person.
Welcome back to the show. We're here with Gary Martin, CEO and founder of ScanNinja, and we're excited to have him here to talk to us about everything from SOC 2 to just how you manage and orchestrate security and why that's important for the energy industry. So, Gary, tell us about the problem you're really trying to solve.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So we've noticed a lot of industries, or a lot of how do I say it? A lot of the compliance complexities come from the amount of work that needed to be done to do it, right? And so me having my experience with Exxon Mobil, seeing it firsthand with the penetration testing and helping get all the documentation and things ready for those compliances has always been, a headache, right? Mm-hmm. And so we decided, me and my co-founders decided to go ahead and start this to get to the point where we could do something on the lines of making it easier, automate all this, especially with the age of AI, right? So now that we have AI, we can kind of automate and link these controls automatically to link the remediations and findings and evidence and things like that automatically to controls, right? And I think that was the biggest thing. And so we've gone through like the competitors that we have, like Vanta and Grata now. And so like Vanta, for example, they have some plugins and some connectors, but you still have to do all the manual work of like creating the documentation and all that stuff. And so what we did is we tried to completely automate that whole system, and then tying it all into the vulnerability management side of it, which is our primary focus of the application that we built, is the vulnerability side.
Mm-hmm. So talk to us about that vulnerability side. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, even things like today, like with Mythos and Glasswing coming out, it's a big thing. They're finding findings that are 20 years old that nobody ever found. And they're serious vulnerabilities. Like Firefox, I think recently they just had to launch an update with 127 vulnerabilities that Mythos found that nobody ever found, including some of the giants like Tenable and stuff, right? So we are Tenable partners, so we do work with those kind of scanners. And so having the ability to scan and find those vulnerabilities in an autonomous and continuous way, and then also remediate and update that software without taking the critical infrastructures down, is kind of what our focus was. And so that was kind of our first couple pilots, was let's go ahead and figure out a way to do this to where we have a man in the middle, scenario, because we still wanted that early on with AI. And now I think it's gotten better where it's not so bad. Like you can do, hey, here's the plan, execute the plan. If it fails, like roll back to configs, roll back to settings. And that's a Cisco network engineering thing from my past. When I did CCNA and CCNP stuff, it was, you can write configs, test everything, but then or build the configs, test everything, and then write them. And if they didn't work, you just rebooted the machine, all the configs wiped out, and they went back to all the configs. So we kind of wanted to build that kind of same pipeline, right? So, but having the continuous watching, and I think we're going to have to get to live time. And so, or live, like almost immediate, right? And so, I'll touch back on that, but we're building a new agent, agentic scanner that's AI enriched by, we have a system that's powered by 18 GPU servers that we got from NVIDIA, from a partnership with NVIDIA and Microsoft. And that scanner is really fast because of those GPUs. But we're able to feed back to fine-tuned LLM models and small language models even to be able to get that data and build those vulnerabilities and threat or what is it called? Like your threat landscape, like your threat, what the picture looks like, right? What your threat picture looks like, and say, okay, this is a high vulnerability. It needs to be remediated immediately, or like, okay, this is a lower one, like
critical,
it's
high,
okay.
medium, low kind of situations.
Yep, exactly.
And then it can patch it up too, or
it actually so what it'll do is it'll generate the script for the batch and then allow the user to execute the script. If you give it authentication to execute the script on your behalf, then you can just execute the script. So
okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I can imagine this is becoming like more and more important with time, right? Because now everything is digitalized. There's AI in everything, and everything's kind of interconnected. So what are you seeing, from your experience working in corporate, as these big corporations are also letting in, ChatGPTs and Claude, like how do they control all those vulnerabilities? Because they often don't lie in their system. They're kind of outside their systems.
Right. Yeah. And so those are third-party injections, right? So they come from the vendors. And it's very important for those vendors to also have those tools in place that protect their systems. And so there are companies like ExxonMobil, for example, if you want to work with them, they require you to provide proof that you've done this stuff, right? That you have done X, Y, Z. Some other companies, they don't just tell us, cool, that's enough liability for us. But like Exxon's like, no, we want proof. Like give me a report, give me certification, things like that, right? And so when you're in that space, like as a medium-sized vendor or somebody trying to work with an enterprise client, you want to be able to have that proof, right? And so we help provide that for those customers.
Is that what
right?
SOC 2 is? Because I don't actually know.
Well, no, it's not even just a
Okay,
SOC 2. Yeah, so SOC 2 is SOC 2 is one thing, right?
Okay.
So SOC 2 is like this, all right, cool, you've got these policies in place and you're following these policies and you're doing these things that help protect the system and you have all this stuff built out and you're following, there's a whole list of controls. Like there's I don't even quote me on this, but I think it's 100 controls or something. There's a lot, right? And so we have this dashboard that has all these controls and you got to map out all the controls and link them to evidence. And then once you have that all in place, then you're like, all right, cool. Like now we've got everything in place.
That's the audit ready kind of checklist that you can.
Yeah, that's the readiness. And then so with SOC 2, then you have to get a certifier that comes in and they do a 90-day monitoring on that system. And so they literally watch what you're doing for 90 days. They're in the whole system. Like it's usually a team of 7 or 8 people.
Okay.
And they come in and they watch the whole system for 90 days and go, okay, you're following these policies. You're doing what needs to be done. You're certified.
That's the SOC 2 certification?
Yeah, that's for SOC 2.
So you actually have people
SOC 2
coming
type 2.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
To certify those. Interesting.
Yeah. We have a partner that we work with that does all the certifications. We don't do the certifications ourselves. We just help with the readiness. They use our platform to help certify the readiness.
And how often do you have to renew that? Is that
SOC 2 is usually yearly. So but here's my thing with it, right? And this is what like you guys heard me talk about before is that's kind of the problem with all this is like once a year. Well, once a year, everyone's like, oh, we got to go. We got SOC 2's coming up. Let's go run and fix everything. All right, cool. Now we're good. All right, here we go. Whereas we were trying to make it to where it's like, okay, now you've got SOC 2 in place and every day you're getting a scan on those notifications or on those controls and you're getting a notification if there's something off, right? Okay, hey, something changed, like go check it out. But it's up to you, right? You're not required to. But we're trying to create this stamp of approval, like a seal from us. It's like, hey, if you have the scan into a SOC 2 certification stamp on your site, then or on your company, then you're knowing that you have a continuous monitoring on that SOC 2 compliance, right? Because I think to me, it's that's the important part. It's not that I do it once a year because anybody could do it once a year. It's 365. 365.
That's the real value is.
Yeah.
And the reason they don't do it is because it used to be too hard.
Yeah,
right?
It's too hard, too time consuming.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you do the first initial thing, right, you have anywhere from 7 to 12, 15 people involved in the process. And when you're that many people, that's a lot of money. So
I was thinking, I think I saw in the news recently, with all the proliferation of just the vibe coding apps, right? They're not necessarily designed for security because they're prototyping tools, right? And no one's monitoring them or checking when a consumer kind of uses that app. It's unclear because the apps look very professional, if the security even exists. And so I imagine as people look at integrating or connecting with their systems, that becomes a more proliferated risk as an end user. Right? Yeah. Is there anything you're able to do to support that, or is that more about supporting the vendor?
No, so we have the ability to review the software, right? So we do check for packages in your software that says, hey, there's an issue here. Actually, I was just looking at a scan last night where one of our scans found 3 malware findings in some NPM packages in a React application, right? And so you can find those, but almost any scanner should be able to find those, right? Those are very, very basic things. But the tough part is knowing not to install this package or to install a package, right? So the Exxons of the world do really good of hey, I have a security team that you can only install these versions because we've already checked them. But like there's been instances where I think recently there was a package that like 90% of React websites use.
Yeah.
And it got installed by all these people that were doing AI automatic updates to their website. And it's like, oh, now you just installed a vulnerable package and now your stuff is, you know.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like we probably did that. I'm gonna go check on that.
Yeah, but I mean that's what if you use tools like GitHub and you have,
they have the warning alert
bots and all that stuff in place and your severity stuff set up. Then when you have all that set up, then like usually like okay, cool, you've got the vulnerability, but then knowing and understanding how to do overrides and things like that. So like that's the other part with vibe coding, right? When you're vibe coding, a lot of times like it doesn't think about that. It just goes, let me write the code. It works. And then you're going, well, like, then you have to know as a person that's telling it what to do, that's orchestrating the code of like, hey, go and fix these vulnerabilities, go and fix these lint issues, go and fix these issues because I don't want to push my application with all these vulnerabilities. But like, I mean, I was working with a guy yesterday, he's building an application, a mobile app, and he's like, I'm vibe coding, but he goes, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I have no idea. And like, that's scary to me. Like you're building an enterprise application and you have no idea what you're looking at here. And you're like publishing and you already got clients. And I'm like, that's scary, right? Because then that's where you come in with a third party vendor who has a vulnerability. And now the enterprise company accepted their application and now they're acceptable to any vulnerabilities that they have. So.
But that's where they can use Scan Ninja.
Right.
Yeah, before they like take it out to roll it out to customers,
exactly.
etc.
And then if you do roll it out, we'll catch it and say, hey, you have this vulnerability in this application. It needs to be fixed and updated.
So this is something you've been kind of working on alongside your full-time job. So what made you kind of finally make that leap and say, you know, now is the time for me to go do this? I think it was
just, honestly, I was tired of hearing the news of all these people getting their data leaked and, you know, getting hacked and I'm like, it really shouldn't be this difficult. And so like a big push, what we were trying to do was let's make vulnerability management affordable for everybody, even these startups, right? Because like you go to a startup and like, they don't think about cybersecurity. They're not thinking about vulnerability management. They're just going, look, I think
we need Scan Ninja.
I just need to get in production, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the cybersecurity side of it, the security aspect of it always comes in the end because
it's not the top priority.
Because you're taught what the top priority is revenue.
Sales.
Go get revenue. Go get revenue. Go get sales. Like once you do that, then we'll worry about everything else. But like, okay, so you go get revenue and sales. You onboard 1,000 customers, and then the next day you get hacked and all your stuff's on Reddit for sale. You know? I mean,
it's like it's nice when you don't have any value, but then the moment you do,
it's like that risk, right? Like people don't like I always say, like, and I've said this to you, like cybersecurity is just no one sees it, right, until it happens, and so you're just like, no, why is anyone gonna come after me?
Yeah, like why would they?
Yeah, why would they?
But until all of a sudden there's a reason to.
A reason, yeah. But even then, what you realize is, or what a lot of people don't realize is 80% of hacks happen to medium to small business.
Oh, I'm sure, because they're not resourced to defend and go out and recover.
They don't understand, right? The importance
of it. This is why we use Azure.
That's
That's why we use Microsoft at our company.
But you say that. At Microsoft, the Microsoft conference 2 years ago, they literally came out and said, our system is not secure on its own. You have to build a secure
It's all the other stuff that's like the backup and the recovery and
it's having the like, okay, cool, we got hacked
and we locked out half the team because they didn't set 2FA properly, and I was like, no, we're doing this, guys.
And then but like, I mean, it was just last week, I think I saw a post. It was Lovable, Adobe, Anthropic, and like 2 other companies all got hacked last week. Right?
Oh wow, these big names.
Yeah, and Lovable, all their information was on sale on the dark web for like $2 million. You can buy the whole data set, like every person's information, passwords, everything.
All that time they spent building that, and it's only $2 million too, but
$2 million,
a lot of money for a hacker.
Yeah, you think about it, I mean, I've met guys that they say that they're hackers. They've told me they've made like $6-7 million a year and just off ransomware pays.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's the other issue.
It's the whole market.
Yeah, the ransomware insurance side of it is like the insurance policies are too cheap for what you're getting because you pay $500-600 a year for a ransomware policy, and then you pay that out. But there's like, okay, well, where's your moral aspect to that? Like, you're okay with just like, if I get ransomware, I just paid off and I don't care what happens to the data. I'm just back in business. I'm like, it's not right. Like,
Yeah. So, Tell me about the name.
So the name, the story was, I've told it a few times. I'm sure it's changed a couple of times the way I've told it, but because it was 3 years ago we thought about the name. But it was essentially, we were just like, somebody made a joke about like, we're just a bunch of ninjas in the system scanning the systems, right? And it's because it goes back to like what you said, right? And so when you're in cybersecurity, if everything goes perfect, nobody's talking about you. Nobody's praising you because, oh, I'm running the system and we've never been hacked, right? But like that was a big thing when I was in DevOps, right? We used to send each other screenshots and brags of like, hey man, this server's been running for 2 years straight, hasn't gone down once, right? And then the one guy's like, I restart mine every week. So I can still that screenshot and I'm like, dude, I've never restarted mine in 2 years and it's going great, you know, but it's the same thing, right? So nobody's talking about you when everything's perfect, but then everyone knows who you are when everything is bad. I mean, CrowdStrike's a perfect example of that, right? They're so big, nobody knew who they were. They're doing great things. And then they send one update that breaks the world.
Oh, yeah. The whole internet went down for...
Airlines crashed. Everybody like... And so it was like the whole world now knew who CrowdStrike was, right? Now, I'm not going to say they probably gained an additional 20-30% of customers off of that because they're like, oh, these guys are getting used by the airlines and everyone else. Well, they must be good. They just had one hiccup, right? And so, but that's the reality, right? Nobody knew who they were before the incident. And then everyone and their brother knew who they were after the incident, right? And so it's that's just cybersecurity, right? So that's why we're essentially just a bunch of ninjas and nobody knows where we are because the reality is somebody made I remember even one time somebody was talking about, it's like, because most adversaries will get into a system and sit dormant for a year or two before they even act on anything, right? So that's why, like we're saying, like the small business, medium size, and what they'll do is they'll get into the system, they'll sit there data dormant, they'll just have their application in there running. If you're not scanning for it, you're not monitoring, you're never going to see it. They wait till you get like a Series A fund or something, and then they go, okay, cool. Now, or Series A raise, and then they come in and they go, okay, now they got a raise, they got money, let's go ahead and take all their data.
Take all the data because the scan ninjas are going to come now.
Oh, because they have money to pay the ransom.
Yeah, because now they have to pay them. They have the money to pay the ransom.
Oh,
so
okay.
You go, cool, boom. Now we go sell we're either going to sell your data or you give us $2 million. We know you just closed a 10 million raise. Like,
you
that's what they'll,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's what they'll do.
I didn't know that was such a market.
Oh, it's a huge market. That's why Cyprus is such a country that a lot of people like to move to.
So you touched a little bit on, you're linking kind of these desperate parts. I think we focus on the detection, but there's also remediation. And remediation, it sounds like it's putting in a script or a patch, but you're putting in really the I don't want to call it a middleware because it's not that, but it's is it an orchestration layer? How do you describe it? That kind of brings these things together.
So we give you the steps and the processes to do it. But we also offer our services to help you do it, right? Especially for companies that don't really know or aren't comfortable doing it on their own. We'll go, okay, cool. Like here's what you should do and how you should fix it. And here's the scripts, right? But like if you have trouble like doing that, executing them, reach out, contact us. We'll help you, right? Because the biggest thing we do with all of our customers and our clients is we do this and I've done this to every company I've ever built. We build partnerships. We don't build just customer client relations, right? And so it's like, okay, we're in this with you. We want to see you succeed because I will be that first cybersecurity company that's going to advertise that like, hey, this company has been working with us for X amount of years and they've never been hacked, right? Like that's a huge milestone for us. And that's kind of where I want to be. But I want to advertise that, put out some press releases on it, right? Try to make that a more known thing to celebrate, right? And so we build these partnerships. And so if you're having issues trying to get those things done, we do that. But then in the application itself, we also built a whole project remediation, think of project management for cybersecurity, right? And so we built this whole module in the application that allows you to do that, puts a value behind that, creates the task automatically, and allows you to assign them to people. And so,
interesting. So it's but is there not a tool like that, or does everyone use Jira today? For that
most people just use Jira, right? Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you guys are, I'll let a little secret out on this one. I didn't want to build this out.
Yeah.
I was like, there's all these other tools that already do this. Yeah. Why are we building this out? And I'm not even kidding. I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning one day. And like, I think I was arguing with ChatGPT or like GitHub Copilot. And
We've
then
all
it was
had
like,
that.
you should build this. And I was like, whatever, build it. I'm going to bed.
And it showed up.
And I just let it build while I was asleep. I woke up the next day and it built this whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And I was looking at it and I was like, that's cool. I was like, I was like, let me check the code. I was like, I reviewed all the code.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it looks all right. And then I was like, I just pushed it and let it go.
Mm.
And it's not like the prettiest module in our system,
Yeah.
but it works.
Yeah.
And it was funny was that I would sit in these calls with these customers and we'd go to that part of the application and I'd watch them lean in like, wait, tell me more about this. Like, this looks cool. And I was just like,
Really?
I didn't want to build this.
That is so
Like,
funny, but that's what you discover
Yeah.
through these
And
customer
it's kind of
interviews.
counterintuitive
Yeah.
too, because it's like the recommendation always is like focus on your use case, focus on the one thing
Mhm.
where you drive value, and it's counterintuitive that you would replace something like a Jira, because Jira is
Yeah.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
when you think about the whole package, but you're addressing an adjacent problem they have, which is like just keeping it all in one place, right?
Yeah,
and being able to manage across this problem.
Well, and then it was also like Jira is great for project management, but then like you have to figure out how to make it map.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so what happened was this thing was able to make our project management module map directly to like assets and vulnerabilities and like be able to make it map. And then what was really cool with it is then you can say, okay, these are all fixed. Like let's go rescan and validate that all these have been fixed. Right. And so it'll trigger a scan and go and validate the remediation plans on those and go, yeah, all these have been fixed. Right. And so having all that in one place was huge.
It's like customized for what you're trying to do, and Jira is just not, right? And sometimes it's like you're trying to force fix some of these other tools to do what they're not really meant to do.
Yeah.
So what is your business model then? Do people come in and sign a subscription? How do you make money? Yeah.
We do yearly subscriptions, but we do break them down into monthly payments, right? And so we have a discount, obviously, if you pay all up front in a year, but then we have the monthly payments. And so then we have a tokenization model as well. So like our primary customer, honestly, is like MSPs and MSSPs, which then allows them to have a multi-tenant. So they get this multi-tenant thing where they can manage multiple companies within the platform. And then, so now that you've got the ability to manage multiple companies, and that's what kind of separates us from like the Tenables of the world, right? The Tenable requires you to have a license per company. Whereas you just have a license per the account. Like you'll get an MSP license and that allows you to build as many companies you want.
What does MSP stand for? Master Service Partner kind of?
Yeah. No, it's Managed Service Provider.
Managed Service Provider. Okay.
And then MSSP is Managed Security Service Provider. So
okay.
And so MSSPs are more like the security side. So they just manage all your security aspects, whereas like a managed service provider manages kind of everything.
So this would be, and I'm going to translate this, maybe I think we would call this like a value-added reseller, like someone who provides the consulting alongside and you're another tool in the tool chest for them, for their customers.
Yep. And we make it easier for them to manage their customers' data, right? And so you can build a threat landscapes, build these executive reports on their platform, and then be able to show these to the customers. Like, here's your threat landscape. Here's what your world looks like in the dark web world, right? And then kind of show them that. And here's your, effective like chance of being, hacked or having the vulnerability put in place or having all your information stolen, right? So we give it. I think we call it a threat landscape.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we would sign, like, so if I were to get it, I would get the subscription, and then would I like go on a dashboard and like occasionally check? Would it give me notifications? Like, how does it work?
Yeah. So there's a dashboard, right, that you can see kind of highlight of everything, but then you do get the notifications. You get email notifications on completions of scans of vulnerability sounds. There's emails, and then there's a mobile application that we're rolling out. That's a slimmed down version that will allow you to see kind of high level things, and then you'll be able to get push notifications real time. So.
Yeah. How sophisticated of a business do I need to be to use something like ScanNinja? Do I need a IT department of 10 people?
and it's that's a tough question, especially in today's world, right? Because you're getting these $1 billion companies that got like 5 people.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, fine. IT department of 2 people. Let me rephrase the question.
It's just really realistically, if you're any kind of a software company, right? If you're doing anything either on-prem or cloud or anything like that, I think it's vital to have something in place, if not something.
What about companies who use software? Like, I don't think there's a company that exists that doesn't, I don't want to call it an ERP, but have the equivalent of you know, a
software,
CRM plus, you know, managing a spreadsheet plus
Mm-hmm.
a customer portal, right? I mean, that's, would they need something like Scan Ninja if they have like,
I don't know that Scan
Okay.
is a good fit for
Okay.
them.
Okay.
There are other platforms that would help with that.
so it is more of the
yeah.
application layer where someone's building an application that they
Yeah.
deploy and have customer data on.
Yeah, if you have
Okay.
data, it's usually almost anybody that's dealing with data, right? If you're handling data and you're dealing with transactions, you're needing compliance work, like that kind of stuff. Like the compliance side, I think is where the only part that you could probably utilize, right? Is because like I don't need software to need a SOC 2 compliance, right? Because it's just more of like checking policies and your procedures. And it's like, so you could say that you can go and get those enterprise customers when they come, hey, do you have your SOC 2? Like, yeah, actually we do. We just got it. Yeah. Or we're working on it. Like, cause that's the other thing too, is we will issue letters like that your SOC 2 is in work. And like, you know, here's the expected date, the completion. And so that way you can give those to potential clients. And so that's why I tell a lot of our customers, like, use it as a marketing tool. Like use it as like, I have this in place and that's why our value is higher, because we're thinking about security early on, especially in today's age, right?
Thanks for listening. If you're fundraising now or know someone who is, I want to tell you about Saffron, our investor relationship management product for energy tech founders. Think of it as a CRM built for energy fundraising. Use our recommendation engine to find the right investors faster and then track every conversation and stay connected through your raise. There's a free tier, so you can start today at no cost. That's CEPHYRON.com. Now, thanks, and back to the show. Yeah.
So like a company like Exxon, it's not for them. It's more for anyone who's developing a software.
Could be
Or it
for
could be.
Exxon.
It could be for
Exxon
Exxon.
has a lot of data.
Exxon has a lot of
It
data.
has a lot of data, but it's not like a software company, right?
Right, but it's more
has
people
its
that have data.
Who has data? Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just software companies.
Yeah,
It's anybody
okay.
who really has data.
Yeah. Or systems where a lot of their operational data is stored and
Yeah.
okay.
And if you have data that's like you're wanting to kind of keep confidential and classified.
yeah,
like,
which they have a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah. Exxon's big on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So how has it been then making that leap and starting your own company? What have you learned?
It's tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
But that's what they would say, right? Like if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And it's tough. There's a lot of long days, a lot of long nights. But I think the reality of it, like it's all worth it, because the whole goal of it, and this is honestly the first company I've ever built where my goal wasn't to just go make a ton of money. My goal was to like go and actually do something and make the world better and securing data and securing people's information. Because I think that's more important than anything. Is like, let's build a better, safer world. And then like people are coming to me now and like, well, what are you gonna do about, what are we gonna do about Mythos and Glasswing? And I'm like, I think it's great because it's going to help find things that nobody else is finding. And we're going to be there to be able to help you fix it. And so if anything, it actually helps us a lot because now we're like, hey, look, you're going to have vulnerabilities. Everybody is, right? And new vulnerabilities found every day. Mythos is just finding vulnerabilities that nobody's ever seen because it's thinking differently. And so our new AI agent, I can't wait till we go live with that because we're in the middle of training new models with agents that are building scenarios that nobody else is thinking about. Right. And so like, it was like a punch in the chest and they're like, hey, here's Mythos. And I was like, oh, they beat us. Like, you know, it's like, they're a huge company and it was bound to happen. But for me, it's like a market validation. Right. Because it's like, when I met somebody last week, they're like, there's like 20 other companies that do what you guys are doing. I'm like, that's great. Cause that means there's a market.
There's a market. Absolutely.
Right. Like if I was the only one doing it, then of course that's a worrisome thing. Right.
That's why when you make your investor deck, you don't say you're going for the whole TAM.
Yeah.
You know, even if I get the 20%, like I can still make it into a big market.
One of the things I think was interesting, I forget who I was listening to an interview with Hewlett Packard and they were talking about acquisitions they were making. And this acquirer was talking about like, how do they choose between two companies that look the same? And the woman said, well, we bought the company that had better sales IP. They knew how to sell customers better.
Yeah.
And even though they were smaller, it was clear that they like had a way to get to their ICP and had a way to repeat that. And I think one of the things with software that is invisible is it's not the code, it's can we identify Exxon Mobil and get into them or other kind of equivalent customers, because that's that's very defensible and hard for people who are not in industry to understand. And so you coming from energy, I guess, that's a question of, are you finding pickup in this industry, or where are you finding kind of the initial customers? Does that?
Yeah, I mean, our initial customers are more the smaller size companies, right?
Not Exxons of the world, but even like within Houston. Are they geographically?
There's a couple here in Houston.
Okay.
I mean, so we have 2 customers that are based out of Houston.
Yeah.
And one of them, like, people don't even realize they're a company, but like people are like, you touch this stuff if you've ever stayed at like a Marriott, you've worked with their equipment. Like they build the kiosks, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so like when you go order like drinks or food at that kiosk, the interface you play with, like we protect that system, right? And so it's a company called Seats. They were working a lot with the MLB last year too. A great company. And then we were working with Shoreless AI. And so they're basically an AI enablement company, and they're doing really big things too in the industry. And so, and it was funny with that conversation. It was like, look, you guys are going to need SOC 2. And he's like, I don't know. And then he calls me the next week, hey, we need SOC 2. It's like, I told you.
We have SOC 2 on our roadmap too, probably for next year.
Yeah. So I was like, you guys are going to need it real soon, because you guys are working with like the, Schlumbergers of the world and stuff. And I was like, so you're going to need it. But like, and so we're having that, but then the other part of it is really, I think most of the other customers that we're getting are the MSSPs of the world, and they're from everywhere, from like Chicago and Washington DC, and not many from Texas, right?
Yeah.
So
is that a unique channel strategy, like when you compare like the others who are kind of in this space?
I don't know. I would think so, because I think most people really try to do like what we tried to do at first, was kind of like, let's go after fintech, or let's go after. And so we've had to morph and adjust, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's really tough, right? Like you got to figure out where you're going, and then you got to be able to pivot, right? And that's the biggest thing to stay successful, right?
Yeah, you just learn by being out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you tell us about one of those pivots? What was a pivot you made that you think made all the difference in the last?
I think the pivot was the like drilling down more on what makes us the right people versus the platform, right? And so I think that was the one thing. It's like I learned early on was I was selling the product so much, I wasn't like selling the solution, right? I was like, here's the problem, here's the product. I was like, well, what does the product do? Oh, let me tell you about what the solution is, right? It says like, but then learning as like I was talking through those with multiple people, multiple potential customers, was like figuring out what they were leaning in on. And that was like Joe Alapat actually taught me that, was like, watch what they lean into and then like go after that. Right. And so that's what we were doing. And so we were focusing on that. And what's funny is like we did similar to what Joe Alapat did, right? Like here's our product, this is what we're doing. And then like, that's not even what we sell. Now we're selling like the SOC 2 compliance of the world. And then like we're selling the project remediation side of it. And like, those are the things that people really want. Like vulnerability management, they're like, you're just like another AVG.
You got to listen to what the customers are saying, right? And I think that's the number one thing that people get wrong, is they get so like hooked into their product.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you're talking to customers, you got to start using their language. Yeah.
Well, and for me, coming from Exxon, I remembered at Exxon, depending on what team you were on, depending on what peripherals you got. If you were on the drilling team, you got the big monitors, you got the nice computer. If you're on the building systems team, where you're just an expenditure, like you got the little bitty 19-inch monitors,
the leftover from last year,
little bitty computers, and like, hey, I need a better computer. I'm like, you don't have the budget. And it was like, but if you were on, like, I remember when I was on the Wells team, and I was like, I needed 32-inch monitors. Like, sure, done. You got two 32-inch monitors. I would get 230. I got the highest performance computer you can buy. Like, and they buy me a really nice headset. And I was like, I never got any of this in my other team. And so when I was doing this, and I remember sitting there like, how do we, like, we were struggling trying to get our first couple customers, right? And it was like, how do we get to that point? How do we market this as a product? And I was like, cybersecurity. I kept thinking cybersecurity is just an expenditure. It's a CapEx, right? And so it's like, how do we flip it to where it's not a CapEx? How do we flip it to where it's a marketable thing? And that's where I came back into
story.
Like,
that's a narrative.
It creates upside as opposed to,
I was like, and so I was teaching these customers, like, look, you can use this to sell added value to your deals, right? Like, the reason we cost this much is because we can guarantee you that we're secure.
We're secure.
And that your data is secure with us. You can trust us, right? Because trust was a big thing that I learned too, was the world is like, who are you? Why should I go with you? Why should I trust you with all my information? Right.
And that allows you to kind of price it differently too, versus it being a cost expenditure, right? So
yeah, because then you can get it from a different budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And talk to us about that, because a lot of, being out there getting your first 50 customers is about figuring out, okay, well, what is their willingness to pay?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you work around that?
Oh, and that's crazy. When I went down that, and I was just like, here's this price, like what price works, right? Am I too cheap? Am I too expensive? And it's like, you talk to one guy and he's like, you're way too cheap. And the next guy's like, you're way too expensive. And like, well, where am I supposed to be? And I remember having this conversation with the gentleman that he founded Novium, I think is the name of the company, the robotics company. And so they built humanoid robotics back before the other company that Ion did. And this was years ago. And he's like, he couldn't sell these humanoid robotics. And he's like, I'm losing money. We're building these robotics. Nobody's buying them. So he pivoted and said, okay, well, let me sell servos. We're already building the servos. I'll just sell the servo actuators. So then he was marketing the servo actuators. I don't know the number exactly, but say it was $10,000 a servo, right? He's like, all right, $10,000 a servo actuator. And then he was like, nobody is buying them. And then he was like, okay, this is weird. And then he raised the price to $30,000, sold out of inventory for 2 years, had to build a new facility to build more actuators. And he asked one of the customers, why didn't you guys buy these from me at 10,000? And the customer responded, I didn't think you guys are a real company. Like I thought we were going to get a cheap product. And he goes, it only cost me like $6,000 to make these things. And so he goes, so now I have to sell them for $30,000 because it's a whole perception of value, right? Yeah, right. It's the whole perception of value. And then your value numbers obviously change depending on what your expenditures are, right? So
I think, so I know in industrial technology, I had a sales advisor, and we're doing like equipment and selling motors. And he was like, yeah, list price. No one ever sells anything at list. We sell to the distributor at 60% off, right? Yeah. And the quotes are always 30% off. And I've taken that to heart with our products. Like we list high. Yeah. Because I know like if we get in a real conversation, we can always discount. You can't go the other way. You can't. But you really got to signal price early and often. And so we do that because we're selling to a customer who's used to that kind of industrial mindset. And it's funny how that frames people.
But then you flip it on the other side of that. Never discount. Because when you discount, you're reducing value.
Oh, to the people on the internet, no, we never discount. But Gary, I'll give you one.
But I was taught that from another guy. It's like you never discount. That's like when you walk into I think it's CarMax. They don't negotiate pricing. Like the price.
It's like your brand, right? What do you want your brand to be?
Yeah.
And if you're a brand that's like, you will easily budge on price, and it's like, okay, what does it really tell you?
What's the real value?
Yeah. And because then what happens is then you work on the other side, because I know some people that work on the other side of one of our competitors. I'm not going to drop the name. And they see these prices that they get for like SOC 2, for example. And the prices range between $10,000 to $50,000 depending on the customer. And when I thought about it, I was like, okay, I kind of get it, because it's like the amount of work, right? All right, you've got more people, you got less people. Like, okay, I could see the price adjustment there. But with today's age, like you're not doing any of the work. The AI is now going out and doing all the work for you. And your prices are still the same. Like your ranges are still the same. You're in that old pricing model, like fix your pricing model. And so that's what we came into to do, is we came in to disrupt the system. We started advertising our prices on our website. And then we actually got asked by multiple of our vendors to take it off. They're like, can you guys please take off the pricing, because you're just like making everybody upset. And I was like,
oh, because you were undercutting vendors?
Because we were cheaper than most people.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so we don't advertise it on our marketing site, but we still have it advertised on our dashboard. So if you sign up for our free trial, you can see the prices. And so it's like, or, you come to us, like that's our price. Our price is what it is. We don't discount it. We do discount, but let me tell you what, we do discount. If you pay the year up front, like it's like 29% off, but like, our price is what it is. We don't discount. Because the key is to, right? You create the value. If you have the value there's no reason to discount it.
Yeah, it's also about finding the right customer too, because if they don't value it, it's time to move on.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like who do you spend your time trying to convince, right? Go for the easy ones.
It's the old sales pitch, right? Like the $30,000 sale is just as hard as the $3,000 sale. So,
So, they say we're like now living in the age of like where we're going to see, and some people are already claiming they are like that first $1 billion company that only has one person running it.
Ninja, right?
Yeah, Scan Ninja. So like how have you gone about thinking around building your company? Because the company's coming in, today very different from like even 5 years ago, and how you build, not just your solution, your product, but your whole business around it.
Yeah. And I think you're right. But I think you are in smaller teams, but it's because when you're in a startup, I think the biggest thing is to have the more experienced people, right? So pay more for that really experienced developer and pay more for your sales team and take care of them and stack you're going to have more sales guys than you are going to have developers. This is the way we are now, right? It's flipped, right? Back when I was a developer full time, like we had stacks of developers and like 2 or 3 sales guys, right? But now with AI, like you can be a solo entrepreneur, build your whole application using, ChatGPT. And my opinion is like build your pilot, don't build the full application. Build a pilot, get to market, and then rebuild it properly with the proper dev team. But I think you're in that point where you can have a smaller team and do 10 times as much work. And especially when you have all these sequence tools out there for your sales outreach. Like, I mean, I think we're doing, I think my sales team's doing something like 10,000 outreaches a day. Like it's a lot. And I'm like, I would have never been able to do this in the past, right? And
but by sales team, you mean you?
Well, it's me. So our team we have 4. We have 4 people in the company now. And so it's me and my co-founder, Ian, and then my sales guy, Tim, who's up in Chicago. And then my PM, Alan, who's down in southern Mexicali area. So
Nana and I were visiting with a founder who had multiple email addresses per salesperson, and it would hit the max on the email. And then, because especially if you're using Gmail, like Gmail limits you to only so many emails a day. And then he would rotate like half of them to a healing mechanism. Because what happens is if you spam too many people, like you get a bad reputation. And so half the emails were doing a lot of outreaches, and then the other half, when they get too much bad reputation score, he'd heal them.
Well, the thing
had a whole dashboard to rotate them.
You have tools like that. Yeah. So we use a tool called Apollo.
Okay.
I think I have 100 emails.
Oh, okay. Apollo, right. we'll cut a bunch of emails
so
your server.
You get all the domains, and then you build all the emails.
We have an Apollo account,
right? And so then you can go, boom, and then it'll do the same thing. When your deliverability rate drops, you just put it into
auto rotates. That's funny. Okay, I think he built his own, but I guess Apollo's picked up on that stuff since then. So it's funny.
And they're token based, so we actually based our token based model off of theirs.
Okay. Interesting.
So we followed, what's his name? CEO of NVIDIA. I can't ever pronounce it right. Jensen Huang. Yeah. He is the one that at GTC said the world is going to move to the token-based economy, right? And I do believe that. I do. Because what's funny is when we were struggling with this, like, how do we charge our MSPs for what we're doing? Like, we can't go, here's the MSP account, it's $27,000 a year, and then they go and build 20 different clients. How do we charge? So we built a token-based economy in it, and now we figured that out. We solved that issue for them. And then, like, I think we booked, after we announced that to the MSPs that we were talking to, we have now 15 meetings on the schedule to meet with these guys to move off of other platforms to ours.
And I guess when you say token-based, that's basically a usage fee.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's is that tied to, it's not tied just to the models, language models you're using.
No,
right?
it's tied to like an action, right?
Okay.
It's tied to like, okay, I'm going to go run a scan on this network. That's
so So it's literally, so as a user who is probably less technical on, when I think I log on Apollo, they call them like credits or how many you get to use, but it's functionally, it's a consumable.
Yeah.
Right.
We call them SNI tokens.
Okay. What does that stand for?
Scan engine. SNI tokens.
Oh, fascinating. So what do you like the most about like being an entrepreneur? Like what skill that you can really lean into more that, you couldn't do before?
For me, it's really like the fact that I've got people asking me to mentor them is huge. Like I've always like been a teacher per se, right? So when I was in the military, I went to go be an instructor, and that's what ended up getting me kicked out. I was like, when I kicked out, I got medically discharged because they had to do a medical eval on me and they found some stuff. But like, I was like, that was always a teaching person. Like, so even when I'm in my unit, that's what I did. I would take the new kids in, and then I would teach them how to work on the plane or how to do these things. And I've always been that way. And so even with coding, like I've taken friends and like, hey, I want to learn how to code. Well, let me show you, right? And so that developer I was talking about that's doing a solo entrepreneur, I was actually walking him through last week on setting up his Visual Studio Code and like getting things working. And he was like, I have no idea what I'm looking at, but it's working. I'm like, well, just keep going. You'll figure it out, like just don't stop. But yeah, I mean, I have a kid that I mentor from, he goes to U of H and he comes to my office once a week and we'd have chats about different things. He actually built a whole sales pipeline on his own.
Nice.
Live coded the whole thing. So
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the nicest things of like having Claude out there is like, I find using Visual Studio so complicated because it's like, how do you do a SQL query? And it's like, nope, here's the way you're supposed to do this now. It's just so much more convenient because you're not tied into that old language.
Well, I don't use Claude Code because they got hacked, but I use GitHub Copilot, which is good. I mean, but you have Claude models on there, and so like my favorite models to use are Sonnet 4.6. And when I get technical, like super crazy, I'll pull Opus out, but because Opus is expensive.
It is.
Opus is very expensive. So
that's interesting. Well, when you think about others who might be thinking of taking the jump, like what would you encourage them to think about in terms of starting their own business?
Live very frugal. Make sure all your finances are like almost to nothing, and then go all in. Because the big difference is, like you were saying earlier, I did this on the side for 2.5 years on side of my full-time job. Once I quit and went full all in, the world changed, right? And so in my head, I'm going, if only I had done this 2 years ago, right? Or 2.5 years ago and just went all in, who knows where I would be, right?
You'd be ahead.
I'd be way ahead. Because we were doing some of this stuff that like these companies are coming out and they were getting multi-million-dollar fund rounds with, or raise rounds with. And I'm like, we were already doing that 2 years ago, right? And then so some of the other things that we learned was we were building a product out. We didn't realize Tenable was actually watching us. And we took so long to build a product out, they just gave up waiting on us and they went and built it themselves. Right. And so it's like, and then one of the VP of sales actually texted me, was like, hey, call me. And then that's when he told me, and I was like, oh no, that's crazy. Like if I'd have just known, right? If I'd have just, I mean, you never know.
You never know.
The best matters. Advice is just, especially in today's world with AI, like speed is a big thing. And so like, just take the leap, jump off, make it happen. If you have the drive and ambition, it'll happen. And if it doesn't, you tried. Right. It's okay. It fails. You learn something, right? Everything you do should be a learning experience. So technically there's never a failure. It's always a success. Right.
It's always a stepping stone. That's
exactly.
Say it is. So where do you want to be in 5 years with Scan Ninja?
I want to be able to be where all the big guys are. I mean, I made a joke years ago that I was one day I'm going to have the Super Bowl commercial and I'm just waiting to check that box. Like, just to have a Super Bowl commeral, right? Like
I've never seen a cybersecurity Super Bowl.
I really think this is totally an aside. So like one of the founders we interviewed, I think it was like episode 15. He did a fake Super Bowl commercial. I think it would be a fun like tech cipher, like who can do the best Super Bowls.
We should do that.
That could be a pilot great competition.
Side,
that'll be a fun like who wins. And his was ridiculous because it was at an era when like everything was like very meme worthy. But I loved it.
That's amazing.
Maybe this next year we'll gear up for a fun intramural.
That'd be fun. And those fun things are what really goes back to your question about those things, the networking events, the community. That's what I love the most. And I think that's why I'm like so happy with where I'm at now, even though like I'm making no money. Right? It's like, I'm super happy because it's like, I get to hang around with some cool people like you guys and like go to these events. Like we just launched the Latinos Founders Forum. Our first kickoff is going to be on Tuesday.
Nice.
Exciting.
And so it's like, it's going to be awesome. Right. And to be able to do those things is what's really cool. Right.
Yeah, awesome. So if anyone listening wants to help you, support you on your journey, is there anything they can, what are you looking for right now that could really help you take the leap?
What am I looking for?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just conversations, advisory.
Yeah.
We're looking, we're doing an angel raise with 10 slots of $50,000 each, like anything to kind of, to kick us off. Right. And so that's kind of where we're at. But at the same time, like, I know that, like we were saying revenue is king. Right. So I also want to like build the product to where like, it's the best product out there and everybody wants to use it because the product sells itself. Right. And that's the goal.
Cool. Well, thanks for being with us.
I
guess, how do people find you? It's scanninja.ai?
Yeah.
Right?
Scanninja.ai is our website. We're on all the social medias. You can even just Google or ask Claude or ask Copilot or even Gemini about Scan Ninja. It'll find it for you. So
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Good.